The screen print I was talking about in the previous episode was the flatbed screen print. There's also rotary screen print. It's made with seamless round screens with a print paste inside the screens. These cylinders give more limited size of the repeat height. I believe you noticed that the flatbed screens in the continuous printing machines are much higher than 64 centimeters. As the movement of the cylinders are continuous, the print speed is much higher respect to the flatbed screen print that needs to stop for each time the screen is lowered and the squeegee passes the paste. The rotary screens have stationary squeegees that forces the continuously fed print paste through the design areas, pressing it out on the fabric. The screens are of 0.1 mm thick nickel with a standard circumference of 640.0 to 640.1 mm, but also other dimensions are available. The width covers the total fabric width. The nickel sleeves have small hexagonal holes called mesh. The mesh fineness is measured in holes per inch. So the higher the mesh number, the smaller the holes in the mesh. The mesh gets covered by a lacquer that gets engraved just as the flatbed screens, or with UV light or with a laser beam. The computer-driven laser beam passes in a mirror and then a lens to get the preciseness needed. It's a very quick procedure. It only takes an hour to engrave a screen. Also, the computer-driven exposure is quick, but the screen needs to pass a couple of steps after the exposure. The XX lacquer is carefully removed, then the screen is dried before it's ready to be used in the printing machine. When creating the screens, also registration marks are engraved on the screens. All the screens following the first screen need to be perfectly registered to it, so that each color gets in the correct place in the pattern. The stencil is fixed in the machine by a stencil ring glued at each side of the screen. The print machines have a rubber band that the fabric are glued onto before printing to keep the textiles plain while printing. Normally, in modern machines, each roll is driven separately and can be adjusted by the computer. In the older machines, the regulation of the print could be a problem, consuming rolls of fabric before getting the rolls in perfect register. When printed, the fabric passes into the dryer. These machines have a production speed of up to incredible 80 to 90 meters per minute. The rotary screen printing machine is the most used technique for textile printing. It can also be used to make coatings like fake leather, for example. With all this information, it's fully understandable that the textile industry have high production minimums and that small quantities gets very expensive to produce.